you illiterate troglodytes. I feel like every day it's something. It's just something. Because what do you mean people are saying, oh, if you read in public, you're being performative? Are you guys okay? I'm so sorry, because to me, the only person who would say that is someone who can't read. Because that is genuinely the, like, of all the hot takes that there have been, popping up online, sometimes you agree with them, sometimes you're just like, ooh, that's a bit iffy, and sometimes you're just like, oh, I don't agree, but that's your opinion. It's very rare that you hear something and you're just like, it's not even that I don't agree. This is absolutely ridiculous. I can't do it. I absolutely cannot do it. But yeah, so in case you haven't seen, someone literally put online that, the people who are reading in public, they're being performative, or when they see someone reading in public, they're just like, oh, you're being performative. And I read that, and I just, when you have to like read something over to make sure like what you saw is what you saw, and it was what I saw. It was 100% what I saw. And it's so funny to me because, one, I feel like the burden of proof right now is backwards just from that statement, because reading is actually a normal activity. Like, it's a hobby that quite a lot of people just have. Like, this is something that, you don't even have to be a creator, content creator. You don't have to be a book talker, booktuber to be reading. People read for fun. People read as a hobby. People read to edify themselves, to just increase their knowledge on a specific topic. You don't even have to be a student, as people who are living, we're students of life, we can say. People read for a variety of reasons. It's literally just a normal activity that people do on a day-to-day, and some people choose to do it in public instead of doing it in private for various reasons. Some people literally just like to go outside. There's a lot of reasons, but yeah, it's a normal activity that so many of us do on a day-to-day. So you, whoever that person was, turning around and saying that when you see someone reading in public, you see that as performative, weird, out of touch, out of habit. That statement itself, that is the actual extraordinary statement. That's the weird statement, because the heck do you mean me doing something normal, something regular is weird? Like, are you okay? Like, honestly, I saw that statement and I was just like, okay, so many things wrong with this. Literally so many things wrong, because by the logic of the statement being that the burden of proof is backwards, by the logic of it, doing any regular activity is performative. Cooking, that would probably be performative, but let's stick to things that you do out in public. Riding a bike, that would be performative. Having a drink in a cafe, performative. Going to the park and walking your dog, performative. Going with your kids to the playground, performative. Literally every single thing is performative, and it's just us farming for compliments the minute we do it outside. Guys, the entire statement, like, it threw me for a loop, because part of me was just like, oh, this is such a funny statement, like, and the irony was really, it was funny to me, because I'm just like, chances are this is someone who is engagement farming. They're just putting out a wild statement that they know we're going to be like, are you absolutely, like, are you tapped? They put that statement out there knowing that it's going to get people talking. So the irony was killing me. Like, this entire statement that you said, it's performative. That's what I immediately thought of, because we know that people do that. But then in the back of my head, I was just like, what if they actually believe this? Because it's not outside the realm of possibility that there are people who actually think that when we go outside to read, that we're just being performative. I was just like, I hope that's not the case, but at the same time, I know that there's a good chance that it might be the case. So I was like, ha ha he he, irony. But they actually might be serious. And that, I think, was where I switched from, oh, this is funny, to, oh, this is concerning. And I was just like, oh my gosh, have we lost the plot? It was really, really funny to me, genuinely. Because if you think about it, like public spaces exist for the public, like, and it exists for us to do so many different things. Like I mentioned a bunch of things that we can do in public. And what's funny about that is that when you go in public, you can't really stop anyone from doing whatever, right? So if someone is having a loud conversation on the phone, we can be like, we can't like be like, oh, go and have it somewhere. They're in public. If it was like, in a building, in a train, a lot of times we're just like, come on, you're in an enclosed space, try to keep it down. We can say something like that. But in public, you can't stop that. So when you're in public, it's literally a free for all. So it's not even a case of like, oh, when they're doing this activity, clearly, it's performative because they're really just trying to get people's attention and stuff like that. Because it's literally one of the quietest activities that you can do in public. I can play music in public. I can be playing with my kids in public. I don't have kids, but for an example, I can, I can be watching Netflix in public, guys. Like, no one can actually stop me. I can be doing that unless there's like a sign that says you can't play Netflix here. But, we don't see that. I can be doing all of these things in public, and obviously that can bother people, especially if it's like noisy, or maybe I'm watching something that someone doesn't want to, listen to. Maybe it's a spoiler and they don't want to listen to that. Reading, legit, you're bothering no one. You're actually bothering no one. You're actually there, you know, da da da. There might be like some reactions. If you see me reading, guys, I can be very, and I feel like if you've watched some of my videos, I can be kind of like, you know, I'm very expressive as a person, okay? I can be very expressive as a person. So a lot of times when I'm reading my book and something happens, especially when like a character annoys me or they piss me off or they do something that's shocking or like someone dies, those reactions that you get where you're just like, or like when like a couple that you're rooting for finally get together, you're just like, yeah! You're just kind of like happy. So I can understand in those situations, if you're reading a book that has like those scenes and you're like me and you're very expressive, like it can get a bit. But again, we in public space for every single person, and I am a person. So yes, I can read in public, but for the most part, it's one of the quietest activities that people can do to pass time, which is what people do. And I was even thinking, um, if they think that reading in public is um, performative, I'm like, what do you think of libraries? And then I was just like, because libraries are, a public space. Everyone's welcome to the library. Library is one of the public spaces that has, they've set their rules, they've set their boundaries. Obviously, be quiet, da 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 da. No running in the library. That we get, like, because certain public spaces they can, impose certain rules, certain boundaries, and we respect them. That's completely fine. Um, so I was just like, what do they think of a library? Do they think that people who go to libraries are performing literacy? You're just going there so that people know you went to the library. I was just like, it was so funny to me because it really started. It made me start thinking about what everyone thought was performative. So is it just like because reading has now become something that people speak about in the content space, that people are now accusing it of being performative? Like, now that we have book creators, anyone we see in public doing it, clearly they're doing it for attention or they're doing it for content. Is it because books have become something that you can make content off of? But then I was just like, but let's be honest, you can make content on anything. So it's not really that. I know book talk has been one of the areas of social media that has probably made the news more than most like hobbies. So maybe that's it. Maybe because book talk. Um, I want to say it's one of the more popular content niches, but I don't even think so. I guess more popular than others. So you hear more about book talk than you hear about like knitting talk and stationary talk, and stuff like that. So I guess maybe they're just like, maybe that's why they were just like, oh, they're obviously doing that for content. So I was just like, is that why? Like, so if I go to like a stationery store, will they not accuse me of being performative if I were to kind of like, freak out because, stationery isn't as popular online. I really don't know. Like, I was just like, what are the rules when, in terms of like performance that this person thinks applies here? I was just like, because are there set written rules that we weren't aware of? Because you're coming out of the woodwork talking about we're being performative, but okay, like where are the rules so that we actually know what we're supposed to be abiding by as we live on this earth? Because that's what people are doing when they read in public. Living, they're literally just existing. And I think one of the things that I think really ticked me off is the fact that, like I said before, like, reading, one of the quietest hobbies that you can have, and people do it in public, and reading in public, it predates social media, it predates the internet. So the whole idea that, oh, you're probably just doing this for content is funny, because I'm just like, are you serious? you know we're now blaming TikTok for something that was done in the Victorian times. Like, come on. People were taking books on trains the minute trains existed. So what are we really saying? And it's the fact that, honestly, guys, reading is one of the best things you do to pass the time. If you're commuting to work, I know some people have like really, really long commutes. I remember when like the first time I like in uni, when someone was just like, oh yeah, I commute here from this other city, and I was just like, huh? I was just like, wait, you come out of like town? Because keep in mind, guys, like, I'm from a small island. It's really, really enclosed. It's like 40,000 people, and I was born there and I was raised there literally my entire life up to like 18. Not my entire life, but up to 18. And outside of like watching TV and seeing people like making the journey, to work on like New York subways and all those TV shows. So I knew people had long journeys, but at the same time, I was just like, okay, how long a journey would people be willing to make? And to me, I was just like, oh, an hour, 90 minutes. To me, I was just like, that was the most. But I'm seeing people make 2-hour train commutes when I first moved here to the UK. And I was just like, yo, it's serious out here. I was just like, okay, you people, I mad respect, because I was just like, I couldn't see myself doing it, and I was just like, wow, wild. But obviously, a bit older now, I can understand it, and we've all done it now, so yeah, now we get it. But outside of that, when I go to the hospital, and you guys know the hospital waits, one of the worst things ever. Can you imagine being there and all you got to entertain you is like the reruns of whatever they're playing on the TV, like whatever, it could be like news or da 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 da. And imagine you're just like, like, I can read this in my own time. I actually like to read news more than I like to watch it. So imagine you have nothing to pass the time. So no, I be having a book with me, okay? Or like, my headphones for music, waiting for appointments, just a bunch of different things that you can use a book to pass the time. So I was like, I found it really, really funny that, what do you want these people to do when this is happening? Or if I'm in a hospital, I find it so funny to imagine that I'm now going to go to my appointment and I'm going to pull out a book, or I'm going to be on a flight and I'm going to pull out a book, and someone might be out there, on the other aisle and the other seat saying, look at her performing. It's so funny, because it actually, it reminds me even of like when I did a placement year, and especially, when you start a new job and you don't really know people like that, and you guys get to know each other as you work, but then like the first week or the first like couple of weeks, you don't really know people. And me, guys, I'm not a loner, but I like my own space. I'm legit. I'm a natural introvert, and my anxiety it travels to the social side, so it's also social anxiety as well. So I do like to spend time by myself a lot. It's nice and cool. So I remember, like, for the first month of my placement, I kid you not, every day at lunch, and luckily we had an hour lunch. Every day at lunch, I would go to John Rylands, because it was literally a 5 minute walk. And if you live in Manchester, you know John Rylands. That library is so gorgeous, especially because the what is it? Is it the reading room? You guys know which room I'm talking about. They have like little cubicles where you can go, and I know students go there to study and stuff like that. But I would go there to read, or even when I was fasting, to really kind of just be there, because you obviously it's a library, so it's nice and quiet. You get to focus. You get to just be there, like super chill, and it's obviously great to be there and be enjoying like your book or whatever you're doing in such a beautiful space. So yeah, even lunch breaks people read because that's what they want to do. I believe me, I especially, come on, I love me a good reading lunch break. So because it was like a 5 minute walk from the actual office, and my lunch was which my lunch was an hour, I basically got like 45 minutes to read, because I was just like, you know what, just to cover myself, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes back, 45 minutes reading, and then I still get time to properly settle back and work. Like, honestly, it was a vibe. It was a vibe. And so I'm just like, all you people who are out here talking about, oh, it's performative, I'm just like, you people need help. Because like I said, it's not the only person who made the post who believes that. I know that there are people out there who are watching us read in public and just going, okay. And I find it like really interesting, because the fact of the matter is some people concentrate better away from home. I know that's so weird, but I can think of like me being in uni and I couldn't study at home. I don't know why. I feel like it's because like at home you have a lot of distractions. Some like you have things that you can do for fun. Like anything to not study or to not like really do your coursework and stuff like that. And it was so funny because I had to go back home, because it got to the point where I couldn't study at the library anymore either, because like that's where all my friends would go to study, and then at one point none of us were studying, and we were just kind of like talking, and so I had to make my house work for me. Okay, I had to figure it out. But yeah, some people they can't concentrate at home, especially like I think um right now, where we are in this space where a lot of people work from home nowadays, either from being fully remote or even from like a hybrid type of workspace, you need to separate your spaces. You need to like separate work from play. And for example, if you're just starting out and your budget's tight, and so you're living in a studio, and so basically everything is kind of just together. Imagine that. Imagine, you have your bedroom or right next to your desk, and like, come on guys, we've all had that experience where our bedroom and where we work or where we did our coursework, they were right next to each other, and so there's no like separation of actual activities. And so honestly, just clutter for the brain. And so a lot of people, they need to actually change their physical location to remove themselves from that space of work, so that they can actually like just be in the space of like freedom and like rest. Because imagine you're trying to read, but then you're looking at your laptop and oh my goodness, I had this project today and I'm kind of behind. Like that's it's really hard. That's why they always say, like, if you can, try to have your workspace as far away from where you actually lay your head as possible, so that you can actually have that separation of like tasks. So same thing applies with like reading and other hobbies. Some people just need to actually go to a different space so that they can fully immerse themselves in whatever hobby they're partaking in. It doesn't even have to be reading. It can literally be, anything like knitting, even like music. Some people just don't want to be like, some people just want to be taking a stroll when they listen to music. It is what it is. Some people want to be in nature when they're reading their book. Like, it is what it is. It's actually like, it's actually okay, guys. It's actually okay. And I think and the thing is, if this wasn't a case of like someone performing themselves for getting the engagement, if it really was someone like just saying that because that was their actual opinion, I think it's really just confirmation bias. I think it's a case of, oh, I'm seeing more people read in the park, and obviously now, because we're in an era of content, they're probably just like, oh yeah, this is just performative. But the fact of the matter is, thousands of people read every day, and like a lot of them do it outside for like a lot of the reasons that I've stated, and even other reasons that exist. Like, you're seeing people read, and you're now interpreting it as, oh, it's performative because I didn't see it before. Sir, you didn't see it doesn't mean it didn't exist. Like, people were doing that long before you ever noticed that they were doing it. And I think as well, right now, in the time that we're living in, I think we've reached the stage where Everyone is just naturally suspicious of each other, in the sense that, like, I think everyone is like, everything is fake. And I remember when TikTok like really got popular during the pandemic. One of the things that people loved TikTok for, and people were flocking to TikTok for, was because TikTok was seen as the authentic space. Because on Instagram, everything is polished. Everyone has their makeup done, and if they're doing a flat lay for like pictures of books, like it's beautiful, and it has all these props, and the lighting is amazing. Like, and they're like the perfect aesthetic. Like, Instagram is known for the aesthetics, we know that. But TikTok became the place where people rolled up right out of bed, legit bonnet on, crust all over the face, and was making videos. People were out here doing the. I think obviously, especially because we were in the pandemic, and everyone was working from home, or people were kind of just like, they were not in the mood to be getting dressed, and people were not having it, and so no one had the energy to put in that effort of, let me look put together, let this content be put together. And so TikTok was known as, the app that gave you authenticity, and that's why a lot of people started to flock over there. But the minute people flocked over there and it became popular and people saw what TikTok could do for an individual that blew, the content, it became like, let's be honest, it's still more authentic than a lot of other apps, but it's more curated than it was during the pandemic. And so I think now everyone is just so suspicious of each other, because everyone is just like, oh, this is fake, this is fake. You really think this is real? You really think this is real? If you guys have been online, you guys have probably been seeing, this is recent, but you guys have probably been seeing the discourse on Nara. It's Smith. Her last name is Smith. Basically, the one who used to do, or still does, I don't really follow it like that, but she does like everything from scratch for her kids. And she was just like, she had like a soft voice. This is what you guys know. I just can't remember if her last name is Smith, but I'm pretty sure it's Smith. Nara Smith. Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, so there's a lot of conversation happening now, because she went on a podcast and she was just like, I don't know why people thought I was a trad wife. I work, my husband works, we both contribute, we both do chores around the house, da 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 da. And then so people are just like, first and foremost, Nara, and this is, like I said, I didn't really follow her. I know her, but I didn't really follow her like that. But I've been seeing the conversation. Everyone is just like, nah, 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 nah. You came out of the woodwork, showing trad wife lifestyle, even if you never said that you were a trad wife. Some people even going so far as to say, nah, 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 we went to some of your old posts and you had hashtag trad wife. And I was just like, ooh, okay, this is good and heated. But it's the fact that people are now like going off and saying, oh, see, guys, we told you it was all fake. It was just a persona that she was putting on to catch views. And see, that's the thing. The fact that people are saying, guys, we always told you it was fake. We always told you it was fake. Like, there is this suspicion online. Like, if you see anything, you immediately go, oh, they're not being real, or this is just a performance. So I think because that's that's the age that we're in now, where there's so much content that people can't really trust what they're seeing. And so I think because of that, we've gone to the point where visibility translates to performance for a lot of people. So just because you can see it means it's being performed, and that's just not the case. But I think, yeah, with social media blowing, and like how everything is kind of like, or can be made into content nowadays, yeah, there's just suspicions everywhere. No one knows what to trust, and so people are just opting not to trust anything, and that's so dangerous, and it's so scary. I feel really bad. I feel really bad because, like, it seems like we can't like have anything and like not be accused of performing. So I'm reading, I'm doing that for book talk. If I'm running or I'm going on a hike, I'm doing that for Strava. What other social platforms are there? If I dress really really nicely, I'm gonna make a post on Instagram or Pinterest. I don't know, like, honestly, I'm running out of examples, but you guys get the point. Yeah, it's gone to the point where everyone is accusing everyone because there is just this suspicion just floating in the air. Yeah, it's scary that that's what we've gotten to, because just because someone can be seen doing something doesn't mean that they're putting on a performance. And I think, lastly, I don't even know how this video got so long. I really kind of just wanted to make, just a short video on how ridiculous this entire thing was, but look at how long it's got. I'm so sorry, you guys. You guys know I can gap. But I think, lastly, the point that I really want to make is that, so what if it is a performance? If someone actually is out there reading to make content and to perform, so what? Like, literally, so what? Like, does it hurt you? No. Like, how does me reading outside and making content from that, how does that hurt you at all? Especially if, like, it's not just me sitting down taking a picture and I keep it pushing. If I actually sit down, read the book, and I just so happen to also take content, how does that hurt you? And even if it was me just like sitting down taking a picture and skedaddling, again, how does it hurt you? How does it hurt you? Like, me taking a picture, me making a vlog, how does that hurt you? Like, I'm so sorry. Listen, especially with the age I was raised at, I'm so sorry. I'm strictly team mind your business, as in mind the business that pays you, because me, if I were reading in public and I was going to make a post on that, it might pay me, but it's definitely not going to pay you. I'm sorry. So what business is it of yours that I'm out here, like, performing? If I was out there performing, it's not your business. It's not your concern. I'm so sorry. If I am not actively hurting someone, and I'm not even trying to passively hurt someone, like, again, what business is it of yours? Like, oh, she's performing. She's being performative. That's great. Keep it pushing. Like, we've all seen people out here performing. We've seen people in the streets, like, filming full-on ads. What do you want me to do? what do you want me to do? Do you guys like rush up to people when they're busking in the street? Do you stop that performance? No, you don't. Like, because let's not pretend as if Ed Sheeran wasn't out here busking, performing on the street, and now he's the Ed Sheeran. If I'm performing, mind your own. Like, face your front and keep it pushing. I'm so sorry. Like, if you want to sit, if you want to, stare at me, sure. At that point, you're actually bothering me. And if anything, I can report you if that's the case. But I'm performing. Doesn't matter. With all the things I said, like, honestly, people are reading in public for different reasons. That's great. But if people are reading in public to be performative, then that's their own. That's literally their own. Like, if you're faking reading and you're not gaining anything from the actual activity, you're the one who's affected by that. It's actually not affecting you. And if you're reading and you're taking content, again, that another person isn't affected by it. So what, like, the statement on a whole, like, that was actually the first thing I thought when, not the first thing, but it was one of the first things I thought after the whole, this cannot be serious, this cannot be a serious post. One of the first things that came to mind was, and if they are performing, so what? Like, genuinely, so what? Like, honestly, the entire thing is a mess. Like, on one hand, it's kind of a case of, oh, society has made people so suspicious of each other. We don't know what's real, we don't know what's fake. But on the other hand, it's also the case of, we also need to learn how to mind our business. Mind the business that pays you. If someone isn't getting hurt, if someone doesn't need help, then mind the business that pays you. Because obviously we have those, like, caveats and nuances that, if someone needs my help, if someone's being hurt, like, yeah, actually, that is my business now. But if that isn't the case, keep it pushing. And yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say. But have you been seeing, like, the discourse around the whole reading in public is performative now? Like, let me know, because yeah, it's actually quite hilarious that this is a discussion that's happening online. It's so funny. Ridiculous, but funny. But yeah, that's it for me today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.